Does a single act of courage, born of instinct and desperation, hold the power to redefine not just a life, but the very essence of mercy in a world consumed by fire and fear? The air, thick with the scent of pine and impending doom, crackled with a frantic energy as Elias Resend, his professional-grade camera a steady extension of his weathered form, captured the desperate exodus. Faces, etched with the raw fear of an ancestral flight, blurred past his lens, a mosaic of human panic against a backdrop of choking dust. His own gaze, honed by years of documenting calamity, held a practiced, detached sorrow, a familiar weight. But even his seasoned resolve could not prepare him for the sight that flickered at the periphery, a medium-sized stray, the dog, a patchwork of sandy brown and darker matted fur, his intelligent amber eyes reflecting not human fear, but an ominous, distant glow. His lean, wiry frame, typically cautious, began to pace, his distinct left hind limb suddenly pronounced, a low, anxious growl rumbling in his chest. The ambient roar intensified, not a distant threat but a living entity, the fiery inferno. A monstrous plume of black smoke, angry orange at its base, clawed at the sky, raining incandescent embers like morbid snow. Elias pivoted, capturing a child's inconsolable sobs, but his camera, almost possessed by an unseen force, swung back. He saw the dog, a stark silhouette, moving against the tide, head low, eyes fixed. Through a brief, cruel thinning of the smoke, a small, unmoving form appeared amidst smoldering foliage, a tiny, white-spotted fawn, limp and utterly lifeless. Elias gasped, his professional mask shattering. "What?" he rasped. The dog emitted a sharp bark, not of terror, but profound urgency, his limp forgotten. With impossible resolve, the dog plunged directly into the inferno, a beacon of selfless courage against the towering, aggressive flames. Elias, utterly alone amidst the roar, took a resolute step, compelled by an instinct beyond mere journalism. He heard a faint, desperate whimper carried on the swirling wind, a cruel trick of the fire, or a primal plea for life. Elias plunged deeper, each step into the fiery inferno's smoky periphery a searing assault. The air, thick with ash and the metallic tang of burning earth, scorched his lungs, forcing a violent cough that tore through his chest. His camera, now his only anchor to the unfolding nightmare, captured a swirling vortex of incandescent embers. Inside, the dog, his sandy brown fur already singed, navigated a treacherous landscape of fallen, smoldering branches. His distinct left hind limp, a cruel legacy of a hard life, flared painfully with every agonizing step, but he pushed on, driven by an urgency that transcended the physical. Head low, nose to the ground, his intelligent amber eyes, though watering, scanned frantically through the dense black smoke, a desperate search for the faintest trace of the fawn. Doubt not at Elias, had the heroic dog's journey already been futile in this terrifying maelstrom? Then, a short, urgent whine from the dog. A glimmer of hope. Through a momentary thinning of the thick haze, the fawn appeared, utterly motionless, now perilously close to a small, isolated patch of aggressive flames. A tight close-up revealed its delicate chest rising and falling barely perceptibly, a thin line of foam at its mouth. The dog moved with excruciating care, nudging its limp body, a tender, desperate attempt to rouse it. A flicker of self-preservation screamed within him, retreat, survive. But the fawn's utter helplessness crushed that primal urge, replacing it with an unwavering resolve to protect. With almost human intelligence, he shifted, gently but firmly taking the fawn's neck in his jaws, not a bite, but a secure, protective grip. With a guttural grunt, he began to drag the unconscious creature. Every muscle strained, his injured leg twisting unnaturally, each inch in agony. Elias's camera found them, freezing the unimaginable sight, the lean, wiry dog, pulling the limp fawn through the smoke. Disbelief, awe, and a profound sense of the sacred ward within him. A sudden, violent gust of wind whipped through the forest, showering them in sparks and incandescent embers. The dog flinched, but did not release his grip, instinctively shielding the fawn's head with his own body, taking the full brunt of the heat. A raw yelp of pain escaped him, his matted fur now visibly singed. Elias, coughing violently, felt an overwhelming urge to intervene, to help, but the inferno held him captive as a detached, yet deeply burdened, observer. He raised his trembling camera, capturing the dog's hard-won victory as he dragged the fawn a few more feet, out of immediate danger. The ground they now traversed was a treacherous minefield of glowing roots and collapsing earth, forcing the dog to test each agonizing step, his limp significantly worsened. A flicker of the fawn's eyelid, caught by Elias's zoom, offered a fragile hint of life. Lightheaded, nauseous, Elias glanced at his dwindling camera battery, adding another layer of gnawing anxiety. Yet, the dog found an impossible reserve of primal strength, pushing forward with a low, continuous growl of pure determination. They reached a small, less burned clearing, a brief reprieve. But the fiery inferno, a living antagonist, began to surround them, its fiery tongues licking closer, rapidly shrinking their safe haven. The dog fully comprehended their dire predicament, pulling at the fawn more frantically, his intelligent amber eyes wide with desperation, searching for an opening. Elias, watching through his lens, silently pleaded with the dog to find a way, feeling a profound, spiritual connection to this animal, a shared, desperate struggle. The dog spotted a thin, precarious gap between two intensely burning trees, their terrifying, only chance. With renewed, almost suicidal urgency, he dragged the fawn into the blazing passage. Sparks flew, igniting a patch of his fur which quickly self-extinguished with a desperate roll. Elias followed, his camera documenting the sheer, undeniable physical sacrifice, ignoring his own burning pain. Then, the dog stumbled, his injured leg giving out completely. He fell, releasing the fawn, both obscured by a fresh, thick cloud of black smoke. Elias cried out, a raw sound of despair, pushing through the last veil of choking smoke to find the dog collapsed, panting violently, the fawn motionless beside him. The fiery inferno roared deafeningly around them, threatening to consume the last shred of their world. Elias sank to his knees, his camera wavering in trembling hands, overwhelmed by despair, fear, and a shared, profound destiny. The roar of the fiery inferno was deafening. Elias, on his knees, filmed the collapsed stray dog and the inert fawn. The dog's breathing was ragged, his fur singed, yet as a fragile whimper escaped the fawn, a primal spark reignited in his amber eyes. With a defiant growl, he pushed himself up on three legs, refusing to yield. Elias, hands trembling, realized this was no longer just a story, it was a sacred testament. The stray repositioned his jaws around the fawn's neck with agonizing deliberation. Behind them, a wall of fire surged. A burning branch fell, momentarily obscuring Elias's view, but when the haze thinned, the dog's eyes met his, a silent plea for witness met by Elias's resolute nod. The struggle was monumental. Every step over glowing embers was torture. Then came the dark night of the soul. The dog stumbled, overwhelmed by the futility of it all. For a fleeting second, he considered saving himself. But the fawn's soft breath against his neck was enough. He shook off the doubt and dug back in. He would not abandon his mission. Elias battled a violent ethical dilemma, intervene or document. The dog limped through a lattice of embers toward a narrow, smoke-choked path. Suddenly, the sound of rushing water emerged. Hope or delirium? A burning trunk blocked their way, too high to bypass. In an act of ultimate sacrifice, the stray climbed over the incinerating wood, searing his belly to pull the fawn across. Elias filmed through blurred, tear-filled eyes. This was beyond heroism, it was pure love. As they landed, the earth crumbled into a smoking crevice. The fawn slipped, hanging precariously from the dog's teeth. In a terrifying stasis above the abyss, the dog strained every muscle with supernatural resolve to pull the fawn back to safety. He collapsed, panting violently, as the smoke shifted to reveal their salvation, a vibrant green patch and a fast-flowing stream acting as a natural firebreak. With a final reserve of energy, the dog lunged into the cool water. Liberation. He released the fawn, which stirred and took a tentative, wobbly step. A deep, primal understanding passed between them. Elias sank into the stream, feeling reborn by the purity of the moment. The fawn nudged the dog's head, and he gently licked its ear. The fire raged on the opposite bank, defeated. Elias lowered his camera, drained but filled with the profound privilege of having witnessed a miracle. The harsh light of dawn filtered through the smoke, casting long shadows over a miraculously unburned patch of grass. Elias stirred in the cool water, feeling a quiet sense of peace as he saw both animals were alive. The dog and the fawn huddled together, a testament to an impossible night. The dog's fur was singed and his leg swollen, but his breathing was steady. As the fawn woke, the dog gently licked its head, a profound sign of continued protection. When Elias offered water from his palm, the fawn drank first, followed by the dog, marking a monumental step in rebuilding trust. Soon, the thrum of a rescue helicopter signaled the end of their isolation. Rescue workers arrived, stunned by the scene. Elias, his voice raspy, shared his footage and recounted the rescue. A veterinarian, moved by their powerful bond, decided they must remain together despite protocols. The dog was placed on a stretcher with the fawn curled protectively beside him. Elias filmed their departure as they were airlifted above the smoldering ruins, focusing on their inseparable connection. At a peaceful sanctuary, weeks passed in a montage of recovery. The dog underwent physical therapy while the fawn grew stronger and more playful. Their bond deepened, they became a constant source of comfort for one another. The dog, once wary of humans, slowly began to trust. When Elias returned with his completed news report, he found a new softness in the dog's amber eyes. As they watched the rescue footage together, the dog nudged Elias's hand, and for the first time, he wagged his tail, a sight never seen during his hard life on the streets. Eventually, the sanctuary found them a permanent home where they could stay together forever. Watching them play in a sun-dappled field, Elias reflected on how this story had changed him. He was no longer a detached observer, but a witness to a legacy of selfless love. The dog's heroism went viral, becoming a global symbol of resilience. Observing them from a distance, Elias narrated with reverence, "In the silence of recovery, the four-legged hero taught us that even when humanity flees the fire, the purest courage resides in those who run toward it, not out of obligation, but for the unbreakable bond of life."